You always have this recipe that will always work. Sometimes you will feel like, well, there's not fun here. But when that recipe doesn't work or there are more challenges involved, that's when you need to create another recipe.
Hi, welcome to the Artful Engineer episode 4. Today we've got a guest from Mexico. His name is Herminio Menchaca. He works at the NXP Semiconductors. I think his official title is mechanical engineer, but it turns out it's not what I thought it was. And you are mechanical engineer as well as industrial designer.
Overall, it's a person that designs a product that meets the needs of the customer or client.
Where the engineering portion needs to meet with beautiful design.
One of the main challenges is how you're going to translate something that you sketch all the way to something functional.
From what I understand, NXP is a chip company. So what does chip company have anything to do with design? It's not like you're designing the chip.
Our team is named Hardware Solutions. So it's this team that develops from the chip, right? And then we develop the board. But of course, that board cannot be handled to our main clients, right? We need to kind of like develop some of the main kind of like products that you can see. I have some developments here. What I do is to work with all the rest of the engineers, such as PCB engineer, test engineer. Once we have the board, I am the one to incorporate a housing where cables will be plugged in. We have to check that. The thermal, I also perform thermal analysis.
But the reason why chip companies like NXP needs an industrial designer is because they want their potential clients to envision what the end product would look like. Is that it?
Correct. That's a good point because our clients will notice right away that we care about their products. We care how they will look like or how the final user will interact with their product. That's why we deliver and develop this type of product.
Give me some examples, the products you have designed, so that our audience will have a general idea what sort of work you do.
For example, Rapid IoT was one of the first projects that I was able to work at NXP from zero. It was from a sketch that I did, and the development was quite massive because probably you see a final product such as this one, right? This is Rapid IoT. There's a lot of stages, and if it's the PCB gonna be modified, and we will have certain other tiny components involved. That was really challenging, to be honest, even though it's a really small gadget.
Take an example of smart tracker, right? And smart tracker needs to be kind of hidden from the consumers, or in order to keep track of objects or produce, that sort of thing.
That specific requirement was from the client. When you transport, you name it, any kind of food, you want that people don't notice that it's trackable. People might probably take it out, right? So it was something that needed to be hidden and out of the visibility from the user.
When you get the project, at which point do you get involved?
Actually, from phase zero, and that will also depend on the scope of the project, right? Mm-hmm. There are some clients that they say, we want something really aesthetic, but we need to go through marketing, right? So that's where I start, right? Research, and we exchange information.
This is before the product is designed. You're talking about that from the very concept that your potential customers, what their needs are, you start from there.
Because that will determine a lot of stuff, right? That will determine how many connectors we need. if we need to incorporate an antenna, if we're going to incorporate SD card, right? If we have LEDs or if we have a touch screen, and the outline of the PCB, the shape of it will change because that needs to be adaptable to the casing or enclosure.
So, Herminio, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mexico, actually in a town named Tlaquepaque. It's a town well known about its pottery and also its blown glass. They do a lot of crafts there.
And your parents have anything to do with any of these folk arts?
Actually not, but my neighbors, I was surrounded by a lot of craftsmen. They used to do, or they are still doing pottery or woodwork or any type of craftsmanship.
How do you think that your Mexican background influenced your art and design?
Well, I think the culture from Mexico and this colorful aspect of our craft was one of the main influences for me. I feel proud to be Mexican, and I always want to project that on my products or anything that I do. So I think this history and colorful craftsmanship from Mexico helped me to kind of like grow as a person and as a creative persona.
Did you major in mechanical engineering?
No, my major was industrial design, but during my degree or when I was studying, we had classes that incorporates mechanical engineering.
What part of engineering is fun for you?
This challenge where you need to work with other engineers to solve a certain challenge or problem.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes engineering can be square, right? Square-minded, but this is structural and linear way of thinking can be also fun to follow if you kind of like break certain rules to kind of like solve problems, because sometimes, and you might agree or disagree, but you need to think outside of the box to tackle certain problems.
All right. So outside box is a kind of a, often too used the cliche, but at the same time, in your case, it is that something that allows you to go off the road or off the straight line. And that gives you the chance to either solve the problem or create something new.
How engineering has certain accuracy, right? People say, well, 2 + 2 is 4, right? And that's also kind of like fun to play with, because this accuracy that you will have will be represented on the projects that you are working on.
There are times that the 2 + 2 is not 4. Is that what you're saying?
That's where the fun starts. You need to kind of like work on certain other fields to find the best solution for it.
When things are not always accurate, that's where the fun starts. I mean, that's a good one, because that's where everybody wants it to be. But in reality, things are not always accurate as you wish. Let's talk about your world tour, because what impressed me most was actually, even though you're born and raised and educated in Mexico, when it comes to studying design, you actually lived, not just visited, but lived in different parts of the world. Can you explain a little bit about that?
And I apply for exchange program, and I say, I want to know more about Asia. And I applied for South Korea, and I got it. And I was there for 1 year. And I was able to explore more different views from people, different companies, different projects. This experience, design, education, there was something emerging, even if it was digital or physical, right? So that was something that I saw a lot in South Korea. I had a project already that was related to people that live in certain areas that didn't have access to electricity or water. I applied for this design contest in India in 2011. I got a place. I presented my project in India, and I was able to be in India for a while. And that was really great to see, right? It was great to experience another culture, another point of view. As a designer, you need to be in touch with people and to know what's going on in another places. I applied for this national scholarship or training program, and that's gonna be in Japan. And I got it. I was there for almost 1 year. I was able to interact with craftsmen and also with big companies and engineering, and it was great to be part of that adventure.
Let's talk about Japan, not just because I come from Japan, but it intrigued me that a number of different types of craftsmanship you got involved while in Japan. This range from textile to pottery to wood bending
Bending.
type of things. Tell me that, what sort of things you got involved in, what impressed you most? What did you learn from each of these?
We were told that we had certain craftsmanship already kind of like included in the program, right? But at the end of the day, we were researchers. We needed to talk to people. We studied Japanese for 4 months, intensive Japanese. So I was the one kind of like going to different workshops to conduct interviews, and I was able to work with them. I was really happy that they invited me.
I think you're a very tactile person. You actually got in. You said you were a researcher. You were interviewing these people, but you actually got down on your own knees and hands and worked on whether it is
Correct.
there was a wappa called, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know of that wooden. It's usually bento box.
My guapa was one of the techniques that I said, I'm going to do it. And I went to Akita and I said, hey, I want to learn about this technique. I want to be part of your workshop. And there were some people that rejected me and some other people that feel quite happy that someone from another country was really interested on that area and that technique.
Tell us a little bit about Shakudani stone. Tell me, how did you discover it?
Shakudani actually is a volcanic stone. We have cantera here in Mexico, and we have marble, but I haven't seen something like Shakudani. The first time that I was able to see a product made of it was in Kyoto. I was visiting a gift shop, and they had the sake cup. But as soon as I saw the material, this bluish pastel color, I was really excited about it. And I visited them. I explained what I wanted to do. They were more focusing on creating sculptures, right, like Buddha or Shintoism sculptures. And I said, well, we can do more with this beautiful material. And the owner was also in love with the material. He had even like buttons made of shakudani.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so he really liked what I presented. This series that ended up being exhibited at Tokyo Designers Week.
In Japanese, there's a term. It's called Mingei. I think what Mingei is roughly translated into folk art that actually cherishes the utilitarian aspect of the art. That it's not, necessarily built by Picasso, but by nameless craftsmen, and it can be produced for use by ordinary people. Tell me about your experience with Mingei and how did you get involved in this?
We always have this big movement in the industrial design world. We have Bauhaus, we have what Henry Ford did in the United States. And I would like to incorporate Mingei as well because some people from Bauhaus was also inspired about Mingei. If you see what Bauhaus did, it was something similar to what Mingei is referring to cherish or the daily products, even if it's a bento box or if it's a ceramic piece, just to value what it means to the society and what it's used for.
What really separates Mingei from the art as we know it in museums is that it's not one pièce de résistance for the king and queen, but we're talking about something you can use, just you and I. The regular folks can use as really as the very useful. It's something you can do, you can use in your daily life.
I mean, what Mingei also wants to do is that you deserve a really well done product, right? You don't, as you said, you don't have to be from royal to have this high quality product on your hands. Products can be well done, right? And they have a purpose and they are really useful.
Thank you so much for coming to the show, Herminio. It was really fun. Good luck with your career.
Thank you so much for your time, Lisa.